Welcome to In the Know with Larvell Floyd on Icon Radio. Welcome back. It's been a nice little vacation for us.
It was a
But we
long
back.
vacation.
Strong vacation.
Much needed vacation.
But we needed it. You know, sometimes you gotta take that break.
Yeah, it was all good though. I enjoyed myself. So hey.
Where did you go? What you do?
Man, went to San Diego. Oh my God, it was so nice and fun, and weather is so nice. I was like, man, let me tell you, I did not want to come back. I did not want to come back to this heat.
Yeah.
But yeah.
See, I went on vacation too, but I went to Vegas. That's why I'm broke. I had to come back. He was like, oh, nope, your card is declined. Yeah, no, but we had fun out there.
That's good. That's the most important. You have fun.
But now that we're back, now it's time to get back to business.
Yeah, get back to work.
So this whole month, because it's been crazy, we want to direct our focus toward mental health.
Yes, very, very, very much so. Very much needed. I mean, we need the information. There's a lot of people out there that really want to hear this.
Because it's hard sometimes, especially for, black folks out here. They try to say, oh, you need to go talk to somebody. Well, who? How? When and where? Well, you know what? We got the who. And we've got the where right here on In the Know with Larvell Floyd. Who we got in the studio today?
Man, we got the one and only Dr. Cortez Sims.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, fellas. I really appreciate the whole opportunity just to be able to listen and hear and share what I can.
Amen. All right.
Oh, we saying amen? Amen.
Amen.
I'm with it.
You got to have an amen in there.
Come on now.
So it is.
Hey.
All right. I'm with it. All right.
So go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Well, let's see. I am a native of Chicago.
Chi-Town.
Exactly. Native of Chicago, and I have a couple of degrees and been in the education wise. I've been in the behavioral health field for definitely over a good 15, 20 years.
Okay.
In education, I've taught for at least 20 years. Have a musical background, and I'm also a master barber by trade. So I have the musical part that I'm musical as a professional drummer, percussionist. I did some touring and some recording. And as a master barber, I definitely been cutting hair since I was 11 years old. I'm a prodigy child of a retired licensed stylist of my mom. So while those things were going on, it kind of afforded me to kind of do some teaching. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, whatever. So I just knew I was going to be touring and cutting hair and cutting all these celebrities. And so, but then, you have that part of you that goes, okay, there's something different. It's not really popping like I really wanted to. So I found myself doing some behavior management in the school district because as a master barber, it wasn't going the way I thought. Get your license, you go through all of that, and you're like, okay, so where's the clients? So one of my clients was like, hey, we need a teacher's assistant at this charter school in Chicago, which was in Roseland area. Anybody that knows about Roseland?
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so
we know about Roseland.
So at the school that was called at the time A.S. McKinley. There it is, in 1998. So I'm wrapping up school, on barber school, and a good friend of mine was like, hey, I'm there doing behavior management. We can use a second guy. We need men. We always need men. And so I didn't know that this school had behavior issues. And so that really exposed me to how people have, different children that has needs and learning disabilities and behavior disabilities. And I'm like, okay, so am I here to teach or am I here to deal with behaviors? And that right there just kind of skyrocketed from 1998 up to now, dealing with people in the classroom that before I knew it was progressing before 20 to 20-something years since then of teaching and behavior and all that. And so I'm like, I cannot seem to get out of this system with and I didn't realize it was called behavior mental health.
Yeah.
And so with that, and then with the barbering, I would listen to people's issues, and before you know, I'm like, I'm a counselor. I'm not a counselor. And I realized I do teach, and I am speaking some things that people need to hear that we don't want to go to the doctor and hear about. So that's kind of a good vast of all these different professions and how I got here. And I'm like, okay, so it's one of those things, as we say in spiritual stuff, amen. I'm like, God, help me with these gifts and talents. Where is the need? And he'd be like, all right, yeah, you can have fun with playing drums and you can have fun with that. But when it's all said and done, it's all kind of based on what people's mindset is and how they feel. And we feel in some type of way. So we're going to definitely get into that.
So I should have asked the question, what don't you do? That's what I should ask.
What don't I do?
Right, what don't you do? Because I'm thinking you were
want me
going
to
to
answer
say this, and it was just kept going. I'm like, oh man, that's all. But that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
You got to have your hands in a lot of different things.
Hey, and I had to learn over the years not to make any apologies of all the gifts and talents that I have, because a lot of us have a lot of it and we don't do none of it. Or they like to say the older thing. Well, hey, I'm a jack of all trades, but I'm a master of none of them. Well,
Right.
I don't know which one is a master or not. As long as we really pursue them doing whatever that we're called to be. You know what I mean? So.
Speaking of jacks of trade and got your hands in all different places, we have a book by Dr. Cortez Sims, Qualified but Not Preferred. Y'all see that?
Make sure y'all go pick that up.
Pick that up. Some really good information up in here. Go ahead and pick that up.
Oh yeah, it's powerful, powerful.
Give us a little taste of it.
Short version. Well, you ever been in a position that you see people always been overlooked and nobody picked them, or somebody felt like, hey, or the most common thing that a lot of people like to say, hey, am I enough, or somebody didn't consider me. Whether you applying for a job and you're like, wait a minute. So this says I need to have these amount of qualifications, these amount of requirements, and I have all of that. Not only that, you guys said that you're not going to discriminate. So you don't discriminate. You need all these qualifications. Here's the requirements. I have all of that, and you still didn't pick me. So am I qualified or not? So you didn't pick me. So this preference thing, I realized most people only preference you if they like you.
Yeah.
Okay, and so if they like you, yeah, let me go ahead and pick that one. So even with everything that we do, first draft picks, sports, job, corporate America, and then yet alone in your family. I'm talking about a little bit of everything that it has hit everyone in your lifetime, that you know how it feels to not to be picked. Because we say it all the time. You know what? I like you, but I don't think you would pick somebody like me because I'm this. And so what we don't realize, a lot of us say those things as a defense mechanism. So then we won't feel as bad as a person when we leave that situation. And then we're like, wait, so why would you pick this guy who's a thug, but I went to school, so that must be your type. But then we'll go home either broken or feel more justified of why they didn't pick us. So what I'm simply saying is, yes, let's just put it out there. Know up front you are qualified, and maybe up until you read this book, you're going to realize, okay, yeah, I was not preferred, but I'm going to flip the script and let you know how preferred you've always been. And we've all have had that, even in relationships. We'll go, okay, so I picked this, and then I realized how much I've done it. So not only was I treated like that as a child, and I've watched other people go through that, and I found myself going, yeah, I didn't pick this one, and I had all these stupid reasons that was not mature.
Yeah.
And I realized a lot of people treat us the same way. And they'll go, well, yeah, no, let me pick this person because he's the star running back or the star quarterback. But were they really that good? How was their character versus just their skill set or their talent? So they would pick this person because of the glamour and all of the charisma that comes with it. But when it comes to things that's so very sustainable, or the things that really keep things together, they have no posture at all. They have nothing that's sustainable, I should say.
Because we keep second guessing ourselves
All the time.
Yeah.
So in the front of the book, being used, being rejected, rejection, because a lot of people say, well, I was rejected because I put myself out there. So I'm not going to do that no more because, because, I don't like how it makes me feel, because all you're going to do is skip past me. And a lot of us talk very in the place of being defeated.
Right.
So
Wow.
we'll walk into a situation and like, I know the job is mine, but I know they're not going to pick me, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. So you're already talking like you're not preferred. And people
Man,
would
I'm
treat
gonna have
you-
to read this book, man. We were just
happening.
had some conversations about this.
We just talked
Wow.
about it.
Oh yeah. So so I even went biblical with it. Several times, certain people would just pick this person over this one. Well, so I don't want to have this person, so I'll go ahead and pick all these other brothers. Jesse's the father, and so now I need to figure out who's going to be the next king. So I'm going to pick the ones that I feel is qualified, because you wouldn't dare pick this one. And we do it in movies. I mean, you see this stuff all of the time. And so I tend to kind of pick out the things that people don't like to talk about, or they like to shy away from. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be bold enough to say it, because people are really living these things. And this is where you have that most leading number one disability under the age of 60 that goes into mental health, which is called depression.
See, and that's what I really wanted to. I'm glad that you said that because I didn't realize it goes up that high. I mean, yeah, I get everybody's depressed, but from where I was trying to come from was it seems like this generation here, all these kids, the millennials, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
is the most depressed age group I've ever seen, and I don't know why. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Why is it that this generation is considered the most depressed, which they tend to be a little depressed? Well, why?
Well, there's a lot of things that goes with that depression because think about this. Their parents, for the most, I'm not saying all, I want to make that, very clear. We have not been the best examples because we don't do very well with our own depression. So a lot of us are grown children having children.
Yeah.
So they only mimic and only model what I've seen the most. And so parents or their legal guardian is the first set of teachers before we even take them to school.
That's true.
And so you're like, oh wow. So if this is what depression look like, oh my goodness. So there's not enough food in the refrigerator because usually poverty or impoverished settings makes it depressing. There's nothing fun about not having enough, not having enough gas, so we can't go nowhere. So we don't have a car. What do you mean? So you raised me? So wait a minute. So now that I discovered that I'm this child, I have to do what you say, but we don't have enough, and so it's like wow. And then what happens is we have this repetitive pattern that we repeat stuff, and that's depressing by itself because there's no happiness, there's no joy, there's no fun, there's no amusement. And so now you take me to school around people that look better than me. Well, look what I have to go back home to.
Yeah.
That's not fun. And then if there's a lot of complaining says that there's nothing to be grateful for. So there's no joy, there's no strength, there's no love. So all of the fruits of the spirit, as we talk biblically, it doesn't match my home. It doesn't look nothing like what I read. And so that's depressing within itself. So what do you mean?
So trying to compare.
Of course. And
Yeah.
comparison is very, very diabolic, I say. Diabolic. It's definitely a bad thing that I always teach because the moment that you start looking to the left and right and compare yourself to the other thing, it's very, very hard to push yourself and to be very, very different because number one, you're made different anyway. And if you don't look like me, but you have better gym shoes than I do, then that's depressing. Who wants to keep talking about how we don't have enough? And then I come from a family that we don't have enough. So who's going to talk about the sad stories and we're on our way up? I'm on my way up. Yeah, but they don't, So I'm going to lose myself and go into isolation. And those are different type of behaviors that start happening because of what's going on the inside because I live inside of a house and this is all I see. Sadness, shooting. So we always at funerals. So funeral spells fun. There's nothing fun about a funeral.
No.
So the actual word fun is inside the word funeral, but there's nothing fun about that. So that's depressing. Everybody's crying. So what about all this fun and hype? So I'm gonna go where it looks like the attention is. So now I gotta be attention seeking. I want somebody to see me. And if you mess around and overlook me, now I'm back into not feeling like I'm preferred. So now you don't pick me either. So it's an ongoing thing that child deal with up until the age of 7, 9 years old. Now they just repeat it. Now double 9 is 18, and I'm pretty much set by then. So if these attitudes come up and if these behaviors come out with whatever setting that I have and nothing has changed in the household or that house setting that I was put in, whether it's foster care, whether it's that legal or that grandparent that's too old to have fun with me. They're not young enough to sit down and go, okay, who's going to play with my cards with me?
Yeah.
We're not playing cards, we're playing video games. And that can be a disorder.
Yep. That's what we're saying. Is like our generation, like, yeah, we play video games. We were still outside.
See, that's the thing. Because look at the whole generation, as you were saying. So our reward was exposure. Okay? Their reward is enclosure. Okay? So you have to stay in the house. And it's easy for us to say, hey, stay right here because you're the latchkey kid. Stay in here, watch your brother, watch your sister. Here's a game pedal and work it out. So you zone out, have fun. Our reward was, oh, wait a minute, I get a chance to ride my bike?
Right.
Okay. Now, that's reward, that's nature, that's social skills. I get to meet up with maybe some of my friends in this neighborhood, and then it's fun. Okay, so we're going to put some water and dive in the pool. What do you mean pool? Swimming, ride my bike. So now I'm exposed to different things, which helps me with the personality and the household we have. Now, I can see if my house is like yours because we don't do things the same. In fact, my mom, wait a minute, I got a mom at the house and then a dad, so I get to compare.
Yeah.
So that child is learning this stuff
God.
outside of school.
Yeah.
So you have those, because you have to think about it. The school teacher part of me, those 6 or 7 hours is when you dropped off at school. Now keep in mind, while you're at school, you get possibly a free breakfast and lunch.
Right.
Now you take the school away from me, we don't have food at the house. So we're hungry up until you may come home for dinner, and whatever that is what it is.
You better eat what I made.
The Roman noodles.
Exactly. Right. So our generation, I would say, is definitely a big shift because, again, our reward was to have fun, ride my bike, and then we had discipline. If you're not here by this time,
Your mama be right on that porch yelling out your name.
You better be in the house before them lights go down.
Absolutely. So what about that child that does not have a porch and they live in the projects, the street lights? So there was some type of signal that our parents went by, was like, that street light get on, you better have your tail here or there is no more reward, or AKA outside. Oh, so, because taking me from outside, taking me away from my friends. There's no social life. I don't know if I like a girl or a boy if I'm never around them outside of school. I can't do that all day in school. You know what I mean? Wow. So now that you put everybody in the house stuck with games, you're going to have all kind of extra stuff. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So there's a lot in that has happened that's different from this generation than when we were coming up, because going outside, being exposed, and then now I get a chance to meet your parents if I'm outside.
Right.
Now I get a chance to see who's Brenda Little's boy, who's Derek little girl. Oh, so that's your parents. Oh, that's that village that can say, hey, you guys didn't eat? Well, we're going to invite you all over. Now, that's that block club party that we used to have.
That's where I grew up.
So,
had the neighborhood whoopings, too.
Oh, yeah. And then it was so great because through the children, the parents usually come. And so when the parents come, their parents is able to meet the other parents. Hey, your child wants to sleep and have a slumber party at my son's house, or at our house. Can they come over? Now it makes the parent have to come out of their comfort zone, meet the other parent, and then now we can see if our household can agree with your house. Yeah, I don't think I want you to go over their house, whatever. That's a good try. You ain't got no other friends, and so that's how our parents was able to learn about us through our children. Now,
you don't know what you're dealing with.
Exactly. So now you have all these other things that you have to discover. Because I don't ever hear about anybody that's going to children's parties. Are they even having children's parties anymore? Right. That you allow your children to go to somebody else's party or even a play date. Absolutely. And then you have to also keep in mind a lot of things have so advanced so much that we are more of a very strong informational age, that we have to sort out what's lie, what's truth, what's not true. And
That's
then this whole social media thing added onto it makes it even more advanced, I should say.
Especially with these kids and social media, because it ain't just, like, let's say something bad happened or you get talked about, made fun of, that pretty much stayed in your neighborhood, right, or it stayed at, your little, your school. Now it happened and it's worldwide in like 2.5 seconds. Now everybody know it.
Social media
can be dangerous.
Absolutely. Everything is so microwave, instant, fast. So even if something was very corrupt or something happened on your block, back then, because we didn't have all these different vices now. So if we did hear about it and it was not reported in the paper, we was able to keep it quiet. Well, you shut up because that's what happened in our house, so it's not reported publicly unless it got strong enough to be put in the public news or anything like that. But now everything is snap, and I can just send it in screenshot, and it could be cropped, allowed, whatever. People tend to believe that faster because there's more truth to that than the falsity, I should say. And so, of course, kids are able to have that access too. I remember when cell phones came out, and it was the big old huge block, and your parents, you're right,
Motorolas,
Motorolas, plug it to the cigarette lighter, and and it was so special that my goodness, I will never forget it. My dad was like, don't touch my phone. My phone is in a bag. I'm gonna plug it to the cigarette lighter. So the kids, this is off limits, and we're looking like, what's so special about this phone? And it was analog. It took forever to ring. So now that even children are on family plans, now we're relying on them to get back with us through a phone. Versus there is no phone, and I'll see you at the house. This is the time we have, and they'll hold children accountable. I came from an era without even telling so much of the age is that it was just one phone and you went by the time.
Yep.
And if the time was a little off, you're like, well, I don't know if I want to go by that clock at your house. Let me ever run home or get on my bike or get on my skateboard, and get there, And so that was enough discipline for my parents to kind of rely on to say, we're going to raise you the way we were raised. Now, it don't make it so much better than this generation, but it was just a different discipline. And so we look at things differently.
Man, that's
deep, man. Yeah, he just covered literally every basis.
Right, because all the stuff you were saying, pretty much, we went through.
Yes.
And it's like...
Can you relate to that?
I can relate completely.
But these kids can't. Yeah, but these new kids cannot relate to that.
Mm-mm.
So you start telling them your stories, they're like, well, yeah, because you're old and then that's that. But then I had to also be a little bit sensitive to this too, because my daughter is, considered a millennial. And when she says certain things, I'm just like, were we saying the same things to the generation above us who didn't have some of the things that we had, different colored gym shoes, or now they introduced Nike with a Michael Jordan name on the back of it. And then because I remember it was just Converse,
right, Adidas,
All-Stars, Adidas,
yep.
and maybe even ponies. But then we had the plastic gym shoes too that you better not say nothing about. You better be glad we did anything for you.
Them Bobos make your feet feel fine.
Maybe 1 or 2 pair of jeans, and then that's it for the whole year.
The whole year.
It's incredible.
So now with the stigma of like the black community when it comes to mental health, what is a good way to help with that? Like what can we do to help anyone in the black community with mental health? Because
it's hard. Like we were trying to discuss earlier, it just seems so hard to try to even get the help. They always say, well, there's a hotline, there's this, there's always help. But then when you try to go get it, it's like you got to go through hurdles.
Well, one of the things that I think in the black community is that we need to inform people and just allow people to know that it is okay to get help. Yes. It is okay to be exposed that, hey, I got some things that I could not control or I was raised in, and these are the effects of it. Because one of the biggest things that I believe in our black culture is that we've been taught so long, well, don't be with this person, or if you act like this, you got to be crazy. So we don't want any more stigmatisms on us. We don't want any more labels on us, even though the labels can be peeled off. But we don't want anything that is stamped on us no more than all the different things that we've came through, because we've been fighting so hard for so many years just to have a voice in the first place. So we've been fighting through dysfunction for so long, we don't want to be labeled individually dysfunctional. To say, oh, so if I go ahead and let you know that, I'm very, very, I have this obsession problem, or I have this disorder, or I have these different things that cause for me to take these pills that was prescribed to me. Wait a minute, so you going to a shrink, or you going to a counselor for what? Is it that bad? And what we don't realize is it's not so much that it's that bad. We need support. We need to be able to say that this is what is going to help me to have stable living. Mm-hmm. This is what's going to help me to understand why these things have occurred, or this is what has happened over the years. So somebody in the family needs to make a stand. So I don't have a problem with exposing me by getting the assistance. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely say, if we can definitely get past what we think is shameful, embarrassing, or it's going to put the spotlight, or it's going to expose my mother, my grandmother, and people like that, because we've been doing a very, very good job with sweeping things underneath the rug.
Keeping it quiet, don't tell nobody. Yeah.
Right, but see, what it is, that's such a danger, because now we're never getting down to the root of the issue, so we can bring that deliverance or bring the healing to the situation. So that means that we're going to always have this constant spill of hemorrhaging, bleeding. So it's like, well, the only way we can stop the healing is to figure out, if I have these symptoms too that's going on with me, because a lot of these things are learned behavior that I'm acting out like, because ACT is in the middle of character. So my character is having me to act like this. Then my goodness, I don't think there's anything wrong with getting some supportive counseling. What's wrong with that? If anything, what's so right about it?
Right.
So we need to start flipping the script and making that a normal. Make it normal to say, hey, I went to go see a therapist today because they're giving me some therapy to help me with you. And it's okay.
I had to think about that for a second. That took me a second. Like, okay.
You know what I mean? Because, it's very, very selfish to think that I'm getting help from me and I keep all the help. I keep all the information to myself and then I don't refer anybody or let somebody know, hey, you know what? I'm getting help with this. Let me recommend this type of information to you because maybe this is the reason why that you keep jumping off the hook with so much caffeine. Yeah. You do know that a lot of caffeine could be the reason why that you're very depressed because you need something to amp you up so much. Because a lot of caffeine drink, it has a lot of... It's so deep about depression because a lot of us do a lot of things so then we can subside it and we can really, really cope with it or suppress it. So we'll do a lot of caffeine.
So we got to get up off the Starbucks.
Oh, man. But look at the market. But because the studies and stuff have spent a lot of time with where is the need at, where is the hypertension at, where is all these disorders at, then let me go ahead and satisfy that and make money off of you because you need me caffeine. So caffeine, nicotine, smoke, all those other different things, different agents, different vices that we use so we can self-medicate what can never be healed unless you really address it. So in the African American community, we have a lot of things that was done to us or have a lot of repetitive things that we just don't want to address. But we need to let everybody know it's okay to get the help and bring your whole family so you can stop this pandemic that's within your house. Now it becomes an epidemic.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with all this other stuff we're talking about. Yes, we are exposed to that, but what about that dysfunction that we have inside the house? Let's talk about that inner traumatic stuff that's going on because of the molestation that we've had, and the rape stuff. So then we know how to say no without feeling guilty.
Yeah.
It goes on and on and on. And so when you hear these different stories, I found out in a lot of different counseling, because counseling deals with people's past and what's traumatically has been ongoing and never will stop. So people can be like, okay, can you help me heal? And then our job as wounded healers is what we operate at, especially if you have a background. We are considered as wounded healers. Now we direct people on how you can get the healing, but healing is definitely necessary. If not, you're still bleeding. Now you point your bleeding and all your behavior stuff on everybody else. You're like, oh, so you're still acting like that because of what has happened to you, the little girl in you, and you're a senior now. Senior citizen. You know what I mean? So it goes so beyond that. So in our African American community, a lot of us have so much of that, and then we're taught to keep stuff on the hush hush. Don't say nothing about that. And even when someone is saying, hey, that same uncle or that same nephew that was taught this is messing with me now, or, well, don't say that. What do you mean don't say that? Because it's a cry. I'm crying out. And so anybody that cries out, it equals to help. You only cry if you are in lack or if you're in need. Simple.
Those are all facts. All facts. Now, to attribute that with the ADHD, so I know that's an issue too, are learning disabilities in African American community.
Sure.
Where they try to always label us as slow learners. We're different. You know what I'm saying? They try to put us into different classes or try to label us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's what I have a problem with. And it's like, and I keep trying to tell people, it's a systematic thing that they're doing here. And it's not the fact that you're slow or different. It's the fact that we think differently.
Absolutely.
Now, is it because we think differently because we are African Americans, or we think differently because for 400 years we were treated a certain way?
It's a mixture of a lot of that. Think of this. Okay, so we're always human first, because we deal with human behaviors, human psychology. So when you're dealing with humans, period, now to just pick us out, yes, there is definitely a certain grace that is on the African Americans or the blacks or all these different names that we've kind of trying our best to have a voice, trying our best to say, okay, since you're going to discriminate and make me separate from all these other different people. Okay, so we are known to have a lot of grace, gifts, and talents, but everybody is not going to be in sports. Everyone is not going to be great with your hands. There are a lot of.
So I'm definitely not good at sports.
So that was, so that would make sense because some people don't have that other side of the brain that deals with all the creativity of the, being very, very good with your hands and trades and business. Some people are like, hey, that's not me. Don't put me just because I'm black All
Right.
black people don't just do sports and entertainment and just tap dance and
Right.
just throw a ball across the court, you know. But then at the same time, a lot of us are very, very educated as well. So what about the people who is very, very gifted and talented and we don't know what to do with it because we need direction? And if it just so happened that scenario falls into the lap of people that like to manipulate and make us feel like, and then make us feel like, well, something is wrong with you. This is what we think you should do. The problem is a lot of us have not been able to say, I disagree. I
Right.
understand where you're coming from. And that's another thing. Just because you understand it doesn't mean that you agree. I don't agree with what you're saying about this child. I've been able to properly raise this child as best as I can. Maybe just a special needs type of specialty type of class because they're very gifted. Well, what does that gift mean? You know, and because a lot of us have had to accept that because we didn't have the education to know the difference,
Right.
or we didn't exercise discernment so we can know the difference between what was false and then what was real or counterfeit before what was really very authentic. So now we have these different labels. And so it's just unfortunate because a lot of these things that they're doing now is very strategic, it's very systematic. But the system is already broken anyway.
Right.
But if I can make a mark and money off of you, or if I push you to this category, then we can say that we did our part because they don't want to be liable, whoever the powers may be. I should say it like that.
I like the way that was the powers that be, the lawmakers, the people that make the laws.
Those decision makers.
Because you're right. In the African American community, we don't talk to nobody. We try to, not talk to anybody, which we should. And this is where you have, like right now, that going back to that generation of just depressed people. Because you're right. Even in our generation, we was always told, dude, you don't say nothing. There's nothing wrong with you.
Absolutely.
You're not crazy. But all the the white folks they're always going to therapy. They're always gonna go to see a shrink. And we should have been doing that same thing back in the 80s.
I agree. Well, one of the biggest things, and it's just really one word, we have trust issues because we've, all the things that was taken away from us.
Yeah.
Doesn't allow us to invest in anything because we're like, well, are you really going to be for me this time with my scenario? And so it's been so much manipulation and brainwash over the years for so many centuries of years. Now they're like, okay, so who can we trick this time? So what a lot of us have done, including the millennials and that generation after us, is like, listen, I'm not going to fall for that. I know too much now. And so they hate that you are more informed because if you're more informed, like you can make a more informed decision to move forward. And then you can get your healing. Now I know where to go. Now I know where the resources are. Oh, so all I need is a school degree. So you had the nerve to take the information and run with it. And now you more empowered. So when you don't have trust, you're not going to make any moves because you don't know if these people are really going to have your support. Or we like to say, have my back.
All right.
So I'm not going to go anywhere. But that still leaves the situation unresolved.
Man, so what is the whole concept of, like, when you have a child, when you have a teenager, when you have an adult in your midst, and they tell you, I think I have some mental issues, and I need help. I need to get this under control. If I take some medication, then I know it's going to be okay. Is that the
like what's the proper steps?
Yeah, is
to
that
take?
is that the no? Is that the whole thing of making things better?
I wouldn't say that medication will make it better. Usually, when you prescribe something, it's because, well, it's designed to be of the extreme. So if this thing has become a disorder because things are just so out of order and there's some chemical imbalances and stuff that causes for you to be off based, or your baseline of your mental stability is off, which is what we get the term of, something is off with this person, right? So now we put this in the category of being crazy. So I would definitely say a lot of things that we go through needs to just be heard first. Talk to a specialist, someone who's in the mental health professional, or in a behavior health specialist, to really hear what it could be, so then they could do a proper assessment on what's going on. And then because there are a lot of great professionals, and they specialize in, let me hear and get a nice assessment. Let me figure out where's this person coming from? What is the actual pain points of the situation? Because it's all derived about pain, pain and discomfort, which is like, okay, how can we get this thing managed? Because some things is not going to go away overnight. There are proper steps to this. So once they can get to a preferred provider, they can really provide information that can support that. Does this make sense? And they're like, yes, of course, this is what we do. We deal with mental illness. We deal with things that's deals with the behavior. So this is what we do. And then if you have the other thing that you're doing, say, hey, well, not only do I have the mental situation, I have a substance abuse issue. Because now they're trying to figure out, have you reached to the point that we can't get you back to a certain place of stability that you need some support so we can prescribe to, so we can equal out these different chemical parts, so then we can know how to prescribe what areas so we can balance you back down and you can have a good proper life. So there's ways to do it, but I wouldn't say going straight to pills and stuff is the answer, even though that there's some very unfortunate cases that people feel like, well, this is going to fix it, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, going to a behavioral health professionals is definitely the way. So because this is what we went to school for, or this is what we have these certifications for, or this is the environment that we're always in because this is our industry. So you wouldn't go to a podiatrist or you wouldn't go to orthodontics, so to get your teeth fixed or get some cosmetics, when you're dealing with mental stuff.
Right.
And then substance abuse and stuff is usually what you resort to because you have the mental illness, which is a whole nother subject. So you think about this. If you have a whole bunch of stress and you're going through some stuff mentally, and people be like, you know what, I had a bad day, and this is the stuff I'm going through. This stuff really, really messed up my head. I think I need to go ahead and get me a drink. And that's what, what start. Because the most leading top substance abuse that people use the most is, what do you think? It is alcohol.
Especially after work, man. You need like a little shot or two.
Exactly. And it's crazy because the people who market all these different things, knowing that this is a high population of that, they make it so available.
That's why there's always a liquor store in every block in the hood.
Everywhere. You can go in Fry's, Kroger, and I don't want to just kind of name stores, but I mean any local grocery store. They are all in the aisles before you. It's right next to the candy.
It'd be right when you first walk in, like literally, like the store right around me. It's literally as soon as you walk in, it's like that first aisle, liquor right there.
Absolutely.
First aisle.
Walgreens was originally made for drugs, for prescriptions, and just side stuff. So how did Walgreens wind up selling spirits and liquor and wine? Behooves me, and it's a whole separate section.
Oh, yep.
But it's so made available for anybody to get because they know that a lot of people say, I was probably prescribed for me to come here because my doctor told me to come here and get whatever it means. But since I'm here, let me go ahead and throw that in the cart so that I can do my own medication because I don't need to. So now what you probably really need, because you were probably the one that can definitely benefit from the prescription, I went on and got me a fifth of this or a bottle of this or wine of this so then it can help me cope with myself. So we call that self-medication. Does it fix the problem? No. Because if you're going to have a bad day, and that's even something that is, that's a whole different thing. Because even with having a bad day, everybody's not having a bad day. And what you subscribe as being a bad day, it's not a bad day. You might have a moment, you might have a situation, and then everything's not a bad problem. It's just unresolved. So once you start really breaking down to people and they get the understanding the information, then it's up to them to adjust. Because bottom line, gentlemen, we are responsible for our healing.
Yeah.
We're responsible for our healing.
That was all deep.
Yeah, we're hoping for somebody else to fix us when it's up to us to say, you know what, I don't feel well. So I'm responsible for seeing what I can do to adjust myself because my stomach don't feel very good. Now, if I just waddle in it and complain, somebody else is going to be like, so how long is it going to take you to fix that? You're responsible for doing something about it. Right. Now, knowing where to get help from, yes. Referral, preference, hotlines, crisis hotlines are everywhere because there are some people who are really serious about getting control of this thing that is getting out of hand with me. And if it start with my mental capacity, hey, I'm stressed or I have anxiety and I'm freaking out, all those different terms. So even anxiety is very, very high. And one of the things to understand about anxiety is the absence of peace.
Yeah. That's what it is too.
If you don't settle it with peace, you're anxious. You can't figure it out. Wow. If you're saying, I'm trying to figure out if I apply for this loan and they didn't get back with me, I'm so anxious to see what the thing about. You haven't settled to be like, you know what, I'm good if they approve me or not.
So you're saying anxiety is because you're not at peace with yourself or whatever the situation was.
That situation is not settled.
Okay.
Settled within. So if it's not settled, you don't have peace about it.
Okay.
I say it like this. Anxiety is the absence of God. God gives you peace. He specializes in peace. So think about the whole world. It's a lot of anxiousness going on. So we're going to go ahead and buy a whole bunch of ammo. We're going to buy a whole bunch of tissue because we're running the tissue and paper towel. That
was a whole epidemic.
And remember how much anxiety there was all around it. People was panicking. So then what happens is when anxiety is in an uproar, now we have panic. Panic is definitely filtered inside of fear. Okay? So panic is groundless fear. There's no way that you can predict it. All you can say is, let me be at peace with the situation. If they run out of tissue and I can't buy tissue, then there's enough tissue in here, or there's enough trees in here to process it. But if I run out, so we had all of these different things going on with everyone. Now you're panic if you don't have peace within yourself and you open yourself up to other people's opinions. And if you buy other people's opinions, you also buy their lifestyle. Now I done bought into your lifestyle on how you get down. I don't live in an uproar. You live in an uproar, which now you're panicking. And if you're not careful, whatever is not transformed is transferred. So now you're going to transfer what you feel over here, and now I'm up here. And before you know, you're like, why all of us panicking? Because you've opened yourself up to that type of mindset, and that's all mental health. Because I'm thinking like you now. When I was all right, so you have to really, really, really do your best to just guard yourself and be like, you know what, I know what's going on over there. Maybe it's not good that I open myself up to that type of information because I know how I can get. So this is when you're very in tune and make sure that you have all the necessary boundaries and things like that. So then the anxiety won't take over, because anxiety and depression is very high if you allow it. So once you come to terms, as we say, settle yourself and be like, let me just come to grips with this thing. Not in panic, but I need to come to peace with this thing and say, okay, let me just realize that if they don't give me the house loan, I need to know that this may not be the house.
Is there like exercises or, techniques that can help with that?
Oh, sure. Therapists do it all the time. Meditation is real big, which people don't like to. I don't want to say all people, but a lot of people don't think that really works. But meditation is very, very strong because meditation is a definite form of peace to come within yourself before you even interrupt the day. So when people say, "Hey, start your morning with peace," some of us who believe in a higher power, creator, and God, like that. I know we're in front of we talk with a broad audience, but whatever that meditation and prayer part before you even start, that is great practice. So now I know how to approach it. So even though I may have the big day, I already know what my plan is, and it sounds like stress that I have to walk into, which is a lot of pressure. Then let me start off with meditation, so then I can collect me in the morning, and then I know how to have a mindset. So meditation, prayer, words of affirmation is great, and even refer to a good vision board if you have one. My goals.
I've heard those. Yeah.
So this is why, if you notice over the last couple of years, a lot of people was doing all these vision board parties.
Yeah.
Because those are things which are other tools that will really, really help you stay the course. That's something that you love, that you can see yourself getting accomplished. But if you don't have these different systems in place, different formats in place, different digital platforms to put in place, then you're just open and out there. Then of course it opens you up to be this person that can definitely walk into panic and fear and take everybody's opinions and take advice from people who didn't do any research, or they have no background, yet alone no mental health support, or not even resources to even refer you to, because they don't even know.
How do you actually meditate? Like, is it somewhere you, like, when you say clear your mind, or is there like a proper way, or is there no proper way to actually meditate? So I've always wondered that. It's like, is it just sitting there, or are we just supposed to just sit there? You're right. Or am I just saying fraba? Like, how do you actually meditate?
Well, a lot of people give different directions. One of the proper things that I would suggest is quiet. Okay, so when you quiet your surroundings. Because a lot of us have a lot of things going on. Can't turn your mind off at night. Oh my God, mind is racing. That has a lot to do with there's not enough exercises that bring things to a quiet place. Or we like to say quiet your soul. Soul is 3 parts: mindset, emotions, and your will. So let me get my surrounding quiet. So then what happens is when your surrounding is quiet, you want to allow yourself, which is all permission, to submit to the environment. If the environment is noisy, it's very, very hard to meditate unless you got it within yourself a good discipline to meditate on the freeway because there's so much traffic, there's so much noise.
Right.
So you wouldn't do it there to start off. You're not there yet. So go to a formal environment, which is why the old ancestors used to say, "Hey, I had to go to a prayer closet." Because closets is a room that nobody really goes in to visit. There's no stove, there's no refrigerator, no television.
It's nothing.
Your car is not being parked inside of a closet. You know what I mean? So there's no noise there. So get into a place where it's just complete silence, where you can kind of subdue yourself and submit yourself to the environment. And then what you're doing is you're trying to make sure that everything within you just succumb to a place of peace within yourself. And then allow yourself to really hear what you can't hear. Because if all you do is hear you get all these inner voices. And then now you got all these things that you see you have to do. Then you get an alarm clock. And then all this. And then before you know it, you're all over the place. And that robs you from that moment that you could have. That's why people tell you, start a good minute up to 2 or 3 minutes. Because it's hard for a lot of people the way you've been operating. Everybody can't meditate. That's why some people are like, no, that don't work for me. Well, have you exercised it and tried it? Mm-hmm. Now, for those that have, now might have to be different other systems that you may have to apply.
Okay.
And then there's so much power, but people that are known to meditate, whether they do what you're just saying, there's music on YouTube that has been uploaded for meditation. It might give you the nature sound.
Okay.
Water, birds chirping. So now everybody's different.
I like rain.
Work. Rain. Because
love the sound of rain.
So what you will notice about yourself is if there's things that bring you to a place of being calm, right? A place of being very, very quiet, and that will shut you down and be like, let me just kind of think to myself. And sometimes some people need the music, some people don't need music. Some people are like, let me just go and take a walk. Mm-hmm. And so that really, really helps, which is why a lot of people like to hike in the morning because the day has not been full of a lot of congestion yet. Moving cars, school buses, and all that type of stuff. But when you go early in the morning, some people go late at night when things are much slowed down because the whole outside environment has even quieted down.
Okay. Because that leads into something else I was going to bring up.
What you got?
Was because I hear this a lot from especially the younger generation. I'm stuck in my head. Like I'm stuck in my head all the time. Like what does that mean, being stuck in your head? Are you just overthinking things too much? Or how do we not be that? Like if we're trying to meditate, we're trying to, bring it down to a quietness. But if you're stuck in your head or if you're overthinking things, how do you get someone to not do that?
I don't think there's no specific formula with that. That's usually case upon case because whatever people define stuck in my head is different. I've heard that term and I've asked the question, well, tell me what that means. What is your definition of being stuck in my head? And I've heard it like this. I've heard stuck in my head is I can't get past what is going on. Because stuck means I'm still there, and I got all these other things flying around me. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've heard that. And then someone else was saying, was stuck in my head, I just can't. I'm like, what's the can't part? So I do a lot of breaking down of all the cans and can'ts. And what has you there so bad that this is a big subject matter for you? And most people cannot explain it. But there's a root to it. How did you get there for you to be able to express it like that? And so if they can express it, most of them are able to bring their own healing within themselves. But they need somebody to coach them through it. Who don't judge, who's not critical. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times us as parents, we can't really be those people because we're a little bit too close because naturally we've been their teacher for so long. Can be us.
That's why they need a shrink or a therapist, someone to talk to. See?
Absolutely.
Full circle.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. My own daughter goes, Dad, I know you've been doing counseling for years. I know you're a mental health coach and you certified this or whatever. But is it okay to go ahead and see someone else? Yes. Some people, especially in our African American community, prideful. What do you mean? You gonna take your money over here? I'm right here. But a lot of times,
Different perspective.
absolutely. You need outside parties so it can help either teach them something that you could not convey because you're so close, or they would definitely confirm what was been said because you're so close. So everything is so close. So it's really a compliment for them to say, I'm going to take your advice. You told me if I need help, do what I need to do. So when they do it, do we judge them and knock them down? So that's even more for them to be like, I don't want to deal with you. So I'm stuck in my head about this because, or on the streets, you got me all effed up about this.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Which really interprets for us, you have me very disturbed by this, and then I'm hurt by it. So I'm hurt by what you told me. And depends on who you're talking to. Now I feel like you lied to me because it wasn't supported.
Man,
It's interesting.
this is why we need to have this. We're going to talk about this all month here. All month. Because we're going to get different aspects and just how to combat mental health, especially mental health. I said it wrong. Mental healthness. I don't know. I can't even say it right. But because especially after this pandemic, we were all in the house, and then trying to readjust to come back out the house, and now potential to go back in. And these kids, they were, like you said, they were already in the house. They're already stuck. Now they're super stuck. And they can't even go to school. Now they're having the school at home, then having to readjust to go back out now to school.
Absolutely.
But then, like my son was telling me, like, yeah, we're back at school, but I can't even see my teacher's face. I don't even know what my teacher looked like because we got all these masks on.
Right.
Which we have to do or whatever. But, it's taken away from that personal touch.
Right.
You can't even see your teacher. You don't even know what they look like.
And what's interesting is that we don't even realize how much of the personal touch meant for the child. I never forget when it first hit, because I have over 20-some years teaching and have to have one-on-one with big classroom and even self-contained and even one-on-ones. And then I have the social service part of me too. And I remember hearing this, I was flying to Chicago and I was on the shuttle
Chi-town.
bus. Right. I got into the airport, and the guy at the car rental place was like, he was just venting, he was going on and on about, man, I had to homeschool, man, and I'm really, really hate it, and I'm hearing because I understand both sides because I am a parent too. Now, I'm past the part of parenting somebody younger, but the other part of me is like, I understand you saying that now it makes you have to be home and teach them, and what are these teachers doing? Because what they're saying is we've had so many years of not having to do this part of the teaching of my child that now I feel that I'm not even equipped to even teach them this stuff because now it really interrupts my house. So the adults are going through different things, which puts more stress and pressure on the child to produce. And then the educator or the professional on the other end are very, very frustrated because they're like, how do I keep this child's attention? And I need for that parent to help me cooperate so I can do my job, or I won't have a job to even teach you guys at all. And I'm just like, that is a big, huge deal right now, which is why everybody's like, please get them back into the classroom because now the parent is being exposed more, which brings more pressure to the house that they have to stay in. Right. Because now, if you don't wake up your child on time, then whose fault is it? The parents. So parents hate to have that pressure put back on them. We love to be able to blame of what that teacher's not doing in that school, what this school is not doing. It's easy to project on everyone else.
Right.
But when you have to go ahead and be responsible and get the discipline, because now you have to go ahead and coordinate this laptop and this computer. First of all, you need to make sure you have internet to even do it.
Yeah.
So now you have a lot of houses and stuff who did not have internet.
Now
So
they
now they have
that.
all these different hotspots going on. So there's a lot of stuff that really expose these parents. And, but at the same time, I don't want my child sick. So I'd rather keep them home with me. Okay. So, I've heard it from all my educated friends and the other professionals and stuff, the frustrations and the plus and the minuses. So this is going to be an interesting year because we don't know how things is going to go.
Yes, sir.
But it's still mental because it's going to really, really, as we like to say, mess with people's heads about different things and stuff. And it brings a lot of extra stress and then anxiety. And here we are.
This is the good discussion. Very good discussion.
Yes.
But thank you so much, Brother Sims.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you so much for coming in.
Thank
One
you,
more
brother.
time, hold up that book. I want you to hold that book. Give it to him. And tell us, where can we find that? How can we get that book?
Well, I'm going to drive you to my website, www.drcortezdsims.com. You can definitely order off there. And then on the famous big distributor, which is called Amazon.com, it is definitely on there. And of course, if you have Prime, they can definitely deliver it to your house. But this is definitely, it's not even a long read, but the content is very, very strong. And I'm getting a lot of great reviews, not because I wrote it, it's because I'm exposing things that we need to be at peace about. And it brings a lot of healing to where you are, what you've been exposed to, and even how you were treated when you was a child. So just know that you are qualified and you are preferred, but you were treated like you were not preferred.
Yes, sir.
This is yours.
Oh,
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming in.
So you definitely want to go ahead and find it out. And also, every week I do a Thursday Thought video. I promote it on there, and I talk about mental behavior and behavior that we all have on a regular basis. So you definitely want to check that out. That's on YouTube and Facebook Live.
Oh, okay. And
Yes,
what's
sir.
the YouTube channel name?
Dr. Cortez D. Sims.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Cortez, DC.
I just had to make sure I asked that question. Got to make sure we know how to find the brother.
Yes, sir.
man.
So
And then we'll
Instagram-
definitely share that information on our sites as well, so you can find it there. You already know we will have it the next day up. So anything else before we're out of here, Floyd?
Oh man. What's your website again?
drcortezdsims.com.
There you go. That's how you do it. All right. Well, this is a good first week back.
Yeah, man.
We're going to come back next week. We're going to have more mental health to talk about because we definitely got to get this awareness in there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right. Until next time,
Let's do
Icon
it.
Radio, Larvell and Floyd. Let's go.